Um, Hi, so I'm Rob Singh from the London Progression Collaboration. I'm just going to, I guess, I'll take you through, I guess, some of the basics around apprenticeship. So we're going to sort of look at what an apprenticeship is, how apprenticeships can aid diversity, what incentives are out there at the moment, and then how to get started with apprenticeships and what help's available. And then finally, as part of that, what levy transfer is and what that can mean for you. So I'm from the London Progression Collaboration. So we're a project that was set up just over 2 years ago now, with some support from the Mayor and JP Morgan, with the mission of trying to help low-paid Londoners to secure better quality, higher-paying jobs, which will set them up on a pathway of progression, and also to make sure that Londoners' businesses are able to develop the right skills they need to thrive and grow. And of course, that was before the pandemic, and since COVID has hit, it's become even more important, we feel, for us to sort of help businesses to get to be as strong as they possibly can be, and to ensure their staff and the staff they're taking on have the right training and are able to be as productive and contribute to the business as much as they possibly can. We believe apprenticeships are really sort of meet these needs, in that they're a fantastic way for individuals to gain skills. So whether that's young people coming into the workplace, or perhaps some of your current employees who want to take on more responsibility. And it's also a great way for businesses to be confident that the people they're taking on, or their current staff who are being upskilled, are going to have the correct skills. So as the LPC, we've supported it's actually now over 750 apprenticeship starts. We've managed to share just over £9 million worth of apprenticeship levy, and helped through that helped over 170 small businesses. Our work that we've done has been cited in an OECD report as one of example of best practice around apprenticeships as well. So we've got some good experience, and we're partnering with Ealing to help local businesses. So I thought it's probably quite important for us to, I guess, sort of talk about what an apprenticeship is, because there's a lot of misconceptions. I know certainly a lot of people I've spoken to still think back to old schemes like sort of YTS and think about unskilled school leavers joining work. But actually, apprenticeships are a lot more than that now. So first and foremost, an apprenticeship is a job. It's a job with some structured formal training built into it. It's a full-time role of 30 plus hours, and your apprentices, you pay them as regular employees. They have the same benefits. They holiday pay, sick pay. We recommend paying a little living wage if you can afford to as a business as well, because they are members of staff contributing to your business. They'll be working in their roles 80% of the time and contributing, and then 20% of the time is where they're training and learning and developing those skills that the apprenticeship's going to give them. Apprenticeships nowadays, they're really quite rigorous and formalised. So there's actually a clear and structured training syllabus for each of the apprenticeships, and each apprenticeship has a set period of time. So from 12 months perhaps for a level 2 apprenticeship, right up to several years for a degree level apprenticeship. They're also formally assessed now. So in the past, where there was a lot of onus on businesses to share knowledge and transfer that knowledge, and over a period of time just say, okay, you're qualified now. Apprenticeships, apprentices now have to sort of go through independent assessment at the end of their apprenticeship to prove that they've developed the skills that the businesses need. as I mentioned, apprenticeships aren't just entry level anymore. There are entry level roles, and they play a really important part for businesses. But apprentices can be existing members of staff who can be upskilled. So you could have somebody who's working, say, for example, in a restaurant on the front of house, who has aspirations to become a site manager. They can go on an apprenticeship as a current member of staff and develop those skills that they need to lead a team. Something that we've found through a lot of our work across London is that apprenticeships are a fantastic way of bringing a more diverse workforce into your organisation. It's a fantastic way of getting talent from underrepresented voices into organisations. We've worked with some specific projects that help BAME and female candidates into sectors like tech and marketing, where they're quite underrepresented. They're a great way of helping people who perhaps have good A levels, but university may not have been an option for them because of their home life and their home situation, to actually still get that sort of degree level education through apprenticeships. We've supported some design students who thought they'd never be able to take on an architecture degree because of the number of years of training and fees that they would have to pay. Through an architecture apprenticeship, they've actually been able to do all of that study whilst earning and not paying fees for the privilege of learning. Apprenticeships are also a great way of getting some candidates with sort of different needs, more neurodiverse candidates, can be really sort of suited to apprenticeships. Those who perhaps, again, that formal setting of school and education may have been a bit tricky for them to shine. Sometimes apprenticeships can be a great way of bringing those people into the workforce. So we've worked with some training providers that specialise in helping some of those underrepresented groups, and I'd be happy to signpost to some of those anyone wants to find out more about those. But I just thought it's worth in this presentation just noting that, because as I said, it's a great way to get different voices into the organisation. So just this slide here, it's not as well populated as it was a month or so ago, because there were some great incentives which have recently expired, but it's worth having a quick look at them. I'm going to share these slides after the presentation so you can sort of digest it a little bit in more detail. But essentially, there's a few incentives that are available for taking on an apprentice. So if you're a small business with under 50 employees, taking on a young person, 16 to 18, the funding can be fully funded by the government. You get £1,000 incentive payment as well, and that incentive is also available if you're taking on someone under 25 who's had a care plan with the local authority. And again, with 16 to 24-year-olds, there's no national insurance contribution to pay either, which, as we know, national insurance is increasing shortly. It's becoming more important. Now you see there's for SMEs, there are a couple of different ways that you can fund your apprenticeship training. We'll talk about that in a moment, but as I said, I'll share these slides after the session so that you can digest these incentives in more detail. So if you want to get started with apprenticeships, this is just a quick rundown of what you actually have to do. So the first thing is to register for a digital apprenticeship service account on the .gov website. So you'll need a few your HMRC sort of payroll details to get set up on this, and we've got a step-by-step guide that we can share with you, which is really, it's got a lot of screenshots and really breaks down the process, so it's quite easy for you to do. If you're still struggling, we'd be more than happy to walk you through the process with through a video call. So that's the first thing you need to do in order to engage in any sort of apprenticeship. The next thing really is then to have a think about which apprenticeship standards meet your objectives. So I guess either what sort of roles are you recruiting for that you think could be an apprenticeship, or have a look at your current staff, look at where you want them to grow, where they want to be. As I said with my example of, somebody wanted to move into a team leader position, who are those people in the organisation, or think about who can you see a little spark of talent that you want to keep within the organisation and give an opportunity to grow. And we could have a look at, we're quite happy to talk you through that process, looking at the different roles and then finding which apprenticeship standard matches that. Some of them can be quite obvious, like a production chef apprenticeship is quite clear. Others, like if you wanted to look at digital marketing, there are quite a few different apprenticeship standards which cover digital marketing, which might, a junior content producer may be more suitable for your organisation than just a straight digital marketer role. So we can help you look at the different apprenticeship standards that are out there, so that you can see what options there are, and also so you can hopefully get a sense of which apprenticeship standards could map to your organisation. Start planning a little bit and think about where you want your training to be over the next few years for your organisation. We can then help you the next thing then to do is to select a training provider. So a training provider is the organisation which will deliver that 20% of the apprentice's time where they're formally learning. Now, that could be a local college, that could be a national independent training provider which has a particular specialism, and we can help provide you with a short list of providers which have, for your selected apprenticeship, which have good Ofsteds, good employee satisfaction, and good completion rates, so that you've got, I guess, a starting point where we've kind of sifted out a few of the, the less good training providers. We like to operate quite impartially at the LPC, so rather than pointing you towards a particular training provider, we want to give you the tools to know what to look for and what to ask, so we can sort of coach you around what sort of things to talk to the training providers about when you call them up, because we definitely recommend speaking to more than one and finding out how they deliver their apprenticeships. So some training providers will ask for your apprentice to come in to a college or training room one day a week. Some might actually ask them to come in for a block of a week or 2 weeks, and then have a period of time where they're working for 100% of the time. Or more often than not these days, in I guess the post sort of pandemic world, a lot of these training providers are offering remote learning, where the apprentice might log on for an hour or two a day and do some learning, coupled with some site visits from the training providers as well. So as I said, we can help coach you around what to ask, or if you feel you want a bit of additional support, we'd be happy to join one of your calls to a training provider to give you the confidence that you're asking, I guess, the right sort of questions. The next step then is for your apprentices to enrol, and something that we definitely recommend is just giving them time to enrol. Maybe they're giving them a couple of hours in their working day just to get that application done, because it's quite important that they answer all the questions correctly and enrol, because they'll be asked about their current experience, the skills they already have, their maths and English skills, and they need to be given enough time to apply and answer properly. We've seen some employers that have had really hard-working members of staff who are doing 12-hour shifts and expecting them to then go home and do their application and that sort of just ended up with us having to, the process being a little bit slower and requiring a bit of support to get through. So definitely recommend giving him a little bit of time and some support with that. And then the final stage is to select the funding option for your apprentice. So as I sort of touched on briefly earlier, there's a couple of different options for SMEs. The two main options for funding apprenticeships is co-investment, which is where the government will pay 95% of the cost of the apprenticeship training. So that's the cost of the college or the independent training provider for the first 10 apprentices in an organisation. The second option is levy transfer, which is where a large organisation like Ealing Council or let's say a large supermarket or a big corporate shares some of their apprenticeship levy to pay 100% of the cost of your apprenticeship training. And often with levy transfer, there can sometimes be a bit of additional support from the levy payer, or that feeling that there's somebody else who's got your back in the process. So what is the apprenticeship levy? So we said levy transfer is one of the options. So the apprenticeship levy is large organisations with a wage bill of over 3 million. They pay about 0.5% of that wage bill as a tax, which is the apprenticeship levy, and that 0.5% that they pay in can only be spent on apprenticeship training. And often, I'm sure if you've ever sort of looked at the jobs listings for Ealing Council, there's loads of apprenticeships. They're doing a great job of getting people into apprenticeship roles within the council, but as a really large organisation, there's sometimes just not enough apprenticeship roles possible to offer in an organisation. Therefore, there's quite often pots of apprenticeship levy which are going unspent in organisations. So the government recently, or in recent years, allowed businesses to share up to 25% of their apprenticeship levy pot, to actually pay for the funding for small organisations. So we work with over 60 large employers who are keen to share that unspent levy to support small businesses. And of course, Ealing Council is one of our key partners, and we're working with Ealing to, get the word out to as many Ealing businesses as possible, that the council can support their apprenticeship, pay for their apprenticeship training through their levy, and also link them up with other organisations as well, which may be able to pay for the apprenticeship training. So the process for levy transfer is, once you've set up your DAS account, as we spoke about earlier, chosen your apprenticeship training provider and the apprenticeship standard, it's just a few simple steps to secure that levy transfer. So if you contact me, we can check that you meet Ealing's levy transfer criteria. If you don't, we do have other funders who have a keen interest in supporting Ealing businesses. So Ealing's transfer criteria, there's a little bit more to it, and this is quite, a simplified version of it is, businesses and or apprentices who in Ealing, so supporting local businesses and local people. And we're looking for businesses that are paying an apprentice a fair wage. So we're keen for as many as possible to be looking at paying London living wage, and or something that's fair and relevant to the sector. I think something that there's a slight misconception some organisations have is that apprenticeships can be a source of cheap labour. Well, that's absolutely not the case, and it's certainly not something that the LPC would support. So once we've looked at whether you meet the criteria, we'll help you to complete the sort of levy transfer form, so the council can see what apprenticeship you want to fund, what wages you're paying, what your motivations are. Is it a new member of staff, or you're upskilling your current staff? And if successful, the Ealing Council will send you a connection request through the digital apprenticeship service. You'll then accept that connection request, and then you or your training provider will then start to upload your cohort of apprentices to the digital apprenticeship service. Then Ealing will be pinged that there's a cohort waiting for their approval. They'll check that what you've requested matches what you originally spoke to them about, and then they'll approve that, and the levy funds will then start to be paid to your training provider on your behalf each month.